Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Avanti Wellness Podcast, hosted by me, Lydia Smith, aka Lydia. I'm embarking on my own transformational journey, and my intention is to inspire, inform, and support you all along the way. My hope is that we are all learning something new with each episode. So let's meet today's guest. Hello, everybody. This is your host, Lydia, aka Lydia. I'm so excited to introduce you to the Avanti Wellness Podcast. It's a podcast where you'll join me on a transformational journey. Back in 1998, I acquired the nickname Lydia. It's the word butterfly merged with my name, Lydia. It has stuck with me ever since. So the concept of this podcast came out of my own desire to start working towards balancing Lydia. I thought it'd be fun to share this journey with you all. The intention is to keep us all motivated along the way. I'll be inviting different guests to join me on the show. They could be doctors or dietitians, practitioners, personal trainers, teachers or therapists, coaches or authors, musicians, artists, healers, and basically anyone who has an inspirational message to share regarding their own transformation. I want to hear these stories too. These are all motivating. These subject matter experts will be sharing their knowledge, experiences, and guidance. From time to time, I'll invite those of you who are on the journey with me to participate in open progress conversations where we'll discuss our successes, challenges, our strategies, and tips we have found that are working for us. It could be like a Zoom support group of sorts. Honestly, staying committed to my physical body has been a bit of a challenge for most of my life. So I'm hoping by staying committed to this podcast and creating a community around it, it will help us all stay accountable and committed to the journey. As I mentioned earlier, the 3 foundational pillars we'll be focusing on will be striving for balance in our body, mind, and spirit. In reference to the physical body, we'll be discussing general health, both traditional and alternative, as well as Western and Eastern medicine modalities. We'll also talk about many different forms of body work through exercise, movement, even working with practitioners that manipulate the body. Nutrition's a big part of balancing the body, so we'll discuss different types of eating plans, how nutrition and supplementation can play a role in our bodies, as well as the importance of cellular development based on the building blocks we give to our bodies. Additional topics like natural beauty and aging gracefully could all be on the table for discussion. After all, it all contributes to our overall wellness. So basically, anything that contributes to advancing our journey to wholeness could all be topics for discussion. That leaves the field wide open on topics. When it comes to mind and spirit, we'll be talking mostly about healing, releasing stuck energy, personal self-development, relationship development, mental health, spirituality, positive thinking, and identifying what motivates us. I'm hoping to introduce you to ideas and concepts that are new and help to open new pathways to your ultimate success. I should say to our ultimate success. For instance, there are 5 laws of physics. I think everybody can agree. And there's 7 laws of nature. But have you ever been taught about the 12 laws of the universe? We're going to discuss these 12 laws in depth and dive deeper into applying them into our lives during the course of the discussions on this podcast. If you don't know what they are, Google them when you have time. Now, I'd like to share with you a little bit about me as your host and how my background contributes to my interest in the topics of this podcast. My name is Lydia Joy Smith. I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and I grew up in a traditional home with conservative values. My childhood was stable, consistent, and then around the age of 9, some serious life traumas started to happen in my home environment it started to shake things up, the seemingly sturdy foundation that my parents tried to build for the family. Regardless of whether an experience happens directly to you or to someone you love, everyone is forever changed by the occurrences that happen around us. Even though life was throwing our family some curveballs, we dug deeper into our faith and held onto a power greater than ourselves for stability and survival. Right after graduating from high school, a week or so later, I moved away from home to attend and later graduate from Texas A&M University. While in school, I had the fortunate opportunity to live abroad in Italy and experience life in another country and culture. I'm so grateful for this life experience. It was so wonderful. It holds many fond memories for me. Right after returning back to the United States, life was throwing some more challenges for our family to navigate together. At the time, they seemed really challenging, but looking back now, you learn that the challenges we create are in our thinking, and having beliefs and reactions different to the same circumstances today would have created a more relaxed and less stressful outcome. Hindsight's 2020, right? Around the same time in my life, I was finishing my college studies, moving back home, walking across the stage at my college graduation, and just 4 days after moving back home, I tragically witnessed my sister's death by suicide. All of this was occurring right before my 22nd birthday. Needless to say, all of these life experiences were very challenging to navigate at such a young age. At times, I wondered myself if I would even be able to survive, knowing that, like my sister, I could choose to check out at any time. I contemplated whether or not that would be an option for me as well, but ultimately, I decided I wanted to keep going and take a chance on my life. I had also made a decision that I didn't want to be labeled a survivor of suicide, but instead, I had the desire to thrive throughout my life. So, this feeling of wanting to thrive set me out on a seeker's journey. I knew at the time my life did not feel like I was thriving, so I wanted to figure out what that would mean for me. I asked myself, how would thriving feel and what does that look like? This new motivation to thrive set me on a path I call the road less traveled. Being so young and in my 20s, I found that all my friends and even my older sisters were in a different stage in their lives. Most of them were finding life partners, getting married, and starting families of their own, or they were focused on launching their careers. For me, I was just trying to survive, navigate life with this new perspective of seeking the meaning of my life and basically doing it alone. I encountered individuals along the journey, but because my life was consistently changing, the friends, acquaintances, and teachers would come and go. My ultimate focus was personal evolution. And now in my early 50s, I can honestly say it still is. I began to search for a more empowered and enlightened sense of self through personal development and spiritual fulfillment. I found a spiritual center that supported me along this journey. I found that life would introduce me to all of my teachers throughout my path. They were disguised as lovers, friends, clients, colleagues, bosses, parents, siblings, acquaintances, and basically anyone or any situation I would possibly encounter along the way. They're all our teachers. I quickly learned that everything that comes to me in my life can be a teacher. Every choice, every experience, every moment, it was either moving me towards something or away from something. I began to learn that the freedom I sought was in my choices. I get to decide how I want my life to feel and the feelings from my thoughts and beliefs. As the patterns began to form, I began to realize that life is all connected, that nothing is by chance. It all has a purpose and a divine plan. My seeker's journey began back in about 1996 while reading the book Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss. And it really opened up my mind to know new levels of awareness and understanding at that time. Over the next 20 years, I put a lot of attention on growing mentally and spiritually. For the purposes of this podcast, I'm going to admit right here that I put far less attention on that third pillar of my life, my body. Sure, over the years, I had moments of balanced physical body, but I'm confessing that I have never put as much attention on my physical body as I have on my mental and spiritual growth. So now I'm hosting this podcast as a tool to help me submerge my conversations, thoughts, and actions into balancing part of the mind, body, and spirit components. While spending a lot of focus on the mental and the spiritual aspects are definitely a big part of the tools to help you with the physical, I feel ready to approach this subject with new understanding and positive feelings of achieving great success. While my attention was primarily focused on the mind and spirit, it has further revealed my gifts as an intuitive, an empath, an HSP, which stands for highly sensitive person, an energy reader, a connector, a communicator, a teacher, and a forever student. My personal belief is that our main purpose of our human experience is to grow and evolve. I will always be seeking my evolution of self until I am no longer here in the physical. So why Avanti, you may ask? Why is it called Avanti Wellness? So I speak Italian. As I mentioned, I lived in Italy when I was 21 years old. And Avanti is an Italian word, and it means moving forward or basically advancing. So this podcast is intended to motivate, inspire, and advance you to your greatest levels of wellness. Balance is different for each individual, and I honor all levels and pathways on our journeys. There are no right or wrong pathways. There are only your pathways. I'm just here to join you on the journey and the discovery. Our paths have crossed at this time in our lives, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. And it is part of the excitement of life to figure out the why and learn and grow from it. I also believe the journey is different for each individual, and our journeys are as unique as we are. No two journeys will ever be alike, only similar. So let's get started on this transformational journey together and see how far down the pathway we go. I appreciate you all, and I look forward for us all to celebrate our successes together in balancing our mind, body, and spirit. I believe that change is good, and the only thing constant in the world is change. See you next time. We've reached the end of this episode. If you'd like to continue with this motivational journey, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss out each time we load a new episode. If you have an inspirational story to share or want to let us know about a potential guest, we'd love to hear about it. Contact us at avantiwellness.com. See you next time, and remember, change is good.